Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share an update on my experience with the DJI Osmo Pocket. For those of you unfamiliar with this product, at $350 US, it is the first of its kind. Of course, you can compare it to previous generations of the Osmo, but it really is unique in that it is pocketable. You can see it right there next to my hand, as well as the RX100 Mark V. And even though it's a little bit longer than the Mark V, its footprint is nowhere near. And what's significant is that, yes, you will not get video or still capability in the Osmo Pocket like you would with the RX100 Mark anything. However, you will have stabilized video, which is something you could never stick in your pocket. In fact, a lot of people will compare this to gimbals for their smartphones, and I understand that comparison. It is being targeted as an action cam, although I see nothing action about this device. 80-degree field of view, 4K at 60p. You have still capability, although your smartphone may be better. And the video is going to be very similar to what you will get out of your smartphone. But again, this is all about stabilization, convenience, portability. You do have a built-in battery, Type-C charging for that, so you can use your charger from your phone. You can also use a power bank. You've got one microphone here and one microphone above the record button. Be mindful of those. If you are not, your audio will be even worse. And I say that because the baseline for the audio on the Osmo Pocket isn't phenomenal. But if you cover those while filming, it's going to be garbage. It's going to go from bad to worse. Now, in terms of accessories, there should be a whole host of accessories, but DJI, the market has been dry. I'm not trying to rhyme, but I do it all the time. And here we've got a filter set from Freewell. Now, this is a must-have. If you plan on using the Osmo in any shape or form, you must have filters. I say this because you will be disappointed inherently by its video performance if you do not have an ND filter on this in bright conditions. Unfortunately, the Osmo, if left to its own devices, if you keep it in auto, which I think a lot of you are going to, you're going to be disappointed unless you have one of these because your video is simply going to look like trash. And that's because on its own, trying to compensate for different lighting conditions, that's not a special, area of expertise for the Osmo Pocket. Now, the firmware updates have made a world of difference for the Osmo Pocket. Out of the box, you really had to rely on connecting this to a camera. Those days, a smartphone. See what happens when you're around too many cameras. But the good news is those days are over. So when I first unboxed this, if I would have done this review, I would have told you this is going to live with your phone. You're going to connect it. That's going to give you the ability to jump into all your settings. It's going to give you a real or a realistic way to view what you're filming. And yes, this screen is incredibly small at under 2 inches. However, having a screen is better than having no screen. And it is touch capable. So what we have now with the current revision is the ability to do quite a bit more. So they've updated the focus system. Remember, this is contrast based, but we now have the ability to do continuous or single. So if you have a moving subject, that's a blessing. In addition to that, we have a Pro mode. Now, the Pro mode is actually quite significant. It's enabled here, and you can see immediately I'm able to jump into settings. Let me bring that into focus for you, and you can see in those settings we have access to white balance, as well as our volume levels, exposure, and our color profile, which now is not just limited to the base normal profile, but also the D-Cin-like profile, a very flat profile, which I think a lot of you who do quite a bit of video editing are going to enjoy having an option for. In addition to that, you do have access now to getting to your video resolution on the fly. So if I'm in the video mode and I swipe, it's not working right there. There it is. We have 4K at 60p. If I want to drop that to 30, I can. And likewise, if I want to go into 1080p as opposed to 4K, I can go ahead and do that. So these are things that originally we could not do directly from the device. We had to have DJI's Mimo software on a phone next to it, and that was a pain in the ass, especially if you're trying to maintain the best part of what the Osmo Pocket does, which is only sit in your pocket. If you want to keep this thing small, it's called the Osmo Pocket for a reason. Once you attach a phone to it, yes, a phone can also live in your pocket, but your pockets are getting heavy, aren't they? Or overstuffed, and they're going to do damage to one another, even with the included cute case that DJI throws in, inevitably you're going to run into problems. So we have a much deeper menu than we used to, and that is a very good thing. Essentially, before this last firmware update, which is roughly a month ago, to get into all of these features, we would have been using a smartphone. So those days are over. Unfortunately, one thing they haven't addressed is the beep that this thing makes every time you hit record. Here it is. And if I turn it off, so on something like a GoPro action cam or, of course, a Sony action cam, that can be turned on or off. For some reason, DJI has left it in place here. I don't know why. Hopefully, in a future firmware update, they will address that. But that really isn't my biggest gripe with the device. Not having any ability to record external audio, I think, would be my biggest gripe. But in the same vein, I respect that DJI, again, was trying to go pocketable. Now, they could give us the ability to use the Type-C port for an adaptable microphone, because while I defend them from a footprint standpoint, this whole pairing undoes that, doesn't it? But still, maybe it doesn't undo it because they know you're carrying a smartphone, but it does if you're trying to maintain this form factor. So do I think the Osmo Pocket is a solid 4K 60p performer? And the answer is yes, I do. If you respect the fact that you have that 80-degree field of view, if you want to vlog with it, if you understand that its facial recognition can't be used in its highest video quality mode, these are all things that I think are well worth the $350 that this commands. But of course, as you buy accessories for this, the Osmo Pocket becomes a much more expensive package altogether. And as I've mentioned, you will need this. This will set you back anywhere from $50 to $80 at the least. Without me getting into which brand is best, the only one I've had here is Freewell. But solid performance. I'll have a dedicated video for the Freewell filters. But overall, this is a necessity. If you want to be able to use time-lapse and actually set this on a tripod, you're going to need that accessory because there is no tripod mount out of the box. But overall, $350 is giving you a gimbal that, again, it can fit in your pocket, folks, and you don't need to use a smartphone anymore, which I think is critical. Throwing these filters on, very easy. They're magnetic, so it's as simple as just popping them off out of the carry case and just, if I can pick that up while on camera, it'd be another story, just dropping it on. And there you can see you have it. A little off center, but that's easily adjusted. And now I have a filter thrown on. It took no time. It's not going to come off. And I'm telling you, the filters are so essential. I know because I didn't have the filter set at the beginning. And boy, as soon as you start using some ND filters on this and actually address your lighting conditions, the footage out of the Osmo Pocket really starts to challenge what I would do with the Ronin S with an interchangeable lens camera and, of course, lens of my choosing. So with that said, at $350, I can fully recommend this product. The firmware has been updated to the point that now anyone can use it for just about anything. Again, as long as they respect its limitations and kind of throw away this stigma of it being an action cam. I know everyone wants to compare it to other action cams, but it's not an action cam. I just think that DJI wanted it on the shelf and didn't know what to call it. They weren't going to call it a micro gimbal. So Osmo Pocket it is, and it really is just what the other Osmos of previous gens were, but at a much more affordable price and at a much more convenient form factor. With that said, is it for everyone? Absolutely not. Is it going to replace your GoPro? Probably not. This is its own device with its own framework, and I respect it. And I think DJI did a commendable job with producing this and supporting it rapidly with firmware updates. But again, at launch, I couldn't have recommended this as cool as it was. Now, the polish is there. Does it need more work? Sure. And I assume DJI will continue to support it until they come out with a new version of the Osmo Pocket, which some of you may want to wait for. That's if it does come. I anticipate it will. And if it were to come with a 1-inch sensor, well. At any rate, great device. Yes, you will need to buy some extra accessories. That's been established. Battery life is solid and can be indefinitely extended. to fill up just about any size SD card, that is micro SD card. Make sure you have a fast enough one. I have been working with a 128 gig SanDisk, for those of you that are wondering. Show it to you right here. And that is what I recommend. I actually like this card because it's pretty much perfect for both the Mavic 2 Pro as well as the Osmo Pocket and any other camera in my arsenal. But overall, very happy with the Osmo Pocket. Highly recommend it if it's what you're looking for. If you want stabilized video that isn't going to make someone barf from your vacation, or you want to create professional B-roll footage, this thing can do it all. Stills, I'm not going to push it. Time-lapse, you need that mount for the tripod. Otherwise, don't even think about it. This thing is worth every penny of $350. Unlike many other cameras, you will take it with you everywhere. And again, it really will produce footage that you just simply cannot do without bringing out equipment, at least that I have here, that most people, unless they're getting paid, do not want to lug around. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.